Let's look at a traditional approach. This is what we would call a solution sales process. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. The biggest box is lead generation. Why is it the biggest? You want to drive as many leads as possible into that box. From there, we start to qualify or disqualify those opportunities. And from that, the goal of everything that we want to do is simply get an initial meeting with that prospect. And that initial meeting is what we would call the qualification phase. Now, what happens in the qualification phase is an understanding of whether or not there's a need or a reason to continue to move forward in the sales process. But the problem that happens here is typically when I talk to service providers, they will walk into a qualification meeting, they spend a lot of time talking about themselves, and then they spend a lot of time talking about the pains of technology. But we haven't got to the root issue of why you're there. It's not about a pain in technology. It's about a concern of that business owner about the way that their environment's being managed and the end result that they're receiving. So the qualification phase needs to change into an open-ended model where we're having them speak to us as much as possible. Now, when people get into the qualification meeting and we work with service providers, they get to the end of that and they're trying to sell something. That's a big mistake. You're not at the point yet of offering a service. We still need to do our due diligence. So when we change our mindset to where the qualification meeting, the only goal when we leave that qualification meeting is to book the ability to do a technical and business assessment. But again, what happens is we tend to focus on the technology. And what happens is when we drive that report from the environment, we tend to report back and present technology findings. So again, we're lacking that viewpoint of what's the end result that that customer is going to receive if they come on board with us. And then we get to the close phase. So we've provided them some information, but then they struggle with providing that value in that end result. And in a lot of cases, what happens here, and it's a pet peeve of mine, is service providers who tell me that they email a proposal to a prospect. The problem with not doing it face-to-face, and I understand you can't 100% of the time do it face-to-face, but we could do it via phone, is that when you send a proposal through to a customer or to a prospect, the first thing that they do is ignore all of the front-end information and flip to your pricing page. So now they potentially have sticker shock because they haven't read through the value that you're going to bring for that monthly services fee. We then end up in an objection scenario on price, but price is never really an objection. It's about a lack of understanding of what I'm getting for the monthly spend that I will be investing with you as a service provider. So the close is really an important component to explain all of the findings of the proposal, what will be the results to the business owner, and those results then derive a value that give you the right to ask for the business. And from there, we move into implementation. Now, this is a fairly linear process. And what I'm going to show you today is a little bit of a mix-up in this with a few more stages that's going to give you a little bit more capability and a little bit more management of the way that you control the sales process.